Alright, I think the one I just didn't post, so I'm gonna do this again, but it might post. What I said in the last one was that, well, the reason, I don't know what this video looks like, but the truth is this. I'm gonna check and see if this, gonna look like the same person, but here's the situation. The reason I started making videos is because this situation has caused a slight dissociative condition, which the dangerous part is that I would wake up and be about 10 years old. But even beyond that, because I had to play so many roles with this situation to get out of it, there are personality changes that it's the same person, but it just wasn't a stable personality anymore. So it's very positive, and so hopefully this is basically appears to be the same person, but it always is. But what I was saying in that video is that I had some wonderful feedback, and the feedback really called it out. I hadn't someone really read between the lines of these videos, and they said, "Oh, I'm gonna take a wild guess that your father abused you, and that he was a psychopath, and that he convinced you to see a psychiatrist." And that's exactly what happened. And the whole issue is this: I started making these videos because originally I tried to do this the first time, and what happened is I was just making them to sort out this kind of dissociative thing. I want to make sure every day I wake up and it's the same person, or that kind of thing, or where I'm at, because that really does happen. And what happened is my personality reintegrated to where I was able to it was I don't know, I felt very comfortable on the video all of a sudden. And I got kind of carried away, and then here's a good example of dissociation. I forgot what I was doing, which is that the point is to work this out so I could talk to my attorney that they recommended. But I forgot why, and what happened is I got so into it that I felt so comfortable making these videos, and I thought I had a way to communicate to some of these people that are on my Facebook page, and started making videos about being dead when my experience in New Orleans recently, and I was angry at the president because of the condition of the houses, and when I lived on disability, and all this stuff, and just on a soapbox, and posted them up to my friends, and just totally forgot why I was doing this. And when I woke up the next day and looked at it, it took me a split second to realize what had happened. I said, "Oh man, I forgot why I was making these videos in the first place. I thought I was making videos because I'm about to do some kind of YouTube channel about the politics or something." I mean, I got really confused. And the people on the Facebook thing, well, I just had to tell them. I mean, they didn't have a bad reaction to the videos or anything, but I didn't tell them. The whole thing was crazy. So I made a video, and I said I want to get honest about dissociative identity disorder, and told them what happened. I started making these videos so I wouldn't dissociate, and totally forgot why I was making the videos, and then went and sent them to them because I thought they were so cool, me bitching about the president, and I got a nice responses. Some people, these are people I had known for years, but this is the last time I had close friends. And she said, "Oh, I had no idea you had DID and this and that and everything." Then I wanted to get more honest about the situation. And I'm trying to discuss it, partly to tell what I've been telling in these videos, but the thing is I didn't know how to tell it, and I was uncomfortable. And the way it came out was all silly, or I tried to make it sound crazy or something. And then some of these people who know me when I was a kid or whatever, they just said, "Well, listen, man, you sound like you're a little nuts. I'll tell you something. I don't know if this is helping your case, whatever your case is, but And I said, "No, I don't have a case. I just want to get this off my chest." And she said, "No, you're not weirding me out. It's just I don't think this is going to help you in any way. This is really hard to know what you're talking about, And at which point it opened up a whole thing where I was in dialogue all of a sudden with these old friends that I had not seen in years, and we were in dialogue about this. And it was the first time that I was asked to explain myself by people who I'd known that closely. And it all came out. And I just had never found a way, I'd never been able to explain it, what was taking place with this psychopath and what he did with the doctors, but particularly the way he was treating me. And I realized that both, I had not been able to describe it because I had to feel like I had to want to communicate it to people I was that close with, but also I realized how disgusting it was, because I said to a substantial degree, I said, this guy would treat me like a pimp. I mean, this person was coming around with a lot of generosity, but he's also had all kinds of rage under the surface. And I said, the way he was talking to me, and you know, I didn't want to do it again, but it was just like the way that a pimp who had a prostitute in an apartment would treat him. Wanted constant contact, and also wanted something to see something, you know, like smile, let me see you smile, you know. And if you didn't give him that, rage would come out. I mean, I said to my old friend, I said, you have no idea. I said, man, you knew him and I knew him, but you know, I had no idea there was anything under the surface that could cause him to treat his son this way. I said, Johnson, that man is very ill. That man is very ill. I said, you have no idea how ill that man turned out to be. And I told her friend Kate, I said, Kate, I've just been so degraded. I said, I ran into you on the street, and remember I told you I realized my father was mentally ill, but I said that I wanted to contact you, but I was having these seizures, and you have no idea, Kate, what this man would turn out to be, and this man is very ill, and you know, I mean, just it all came out, but that way that I finally realized what I couldn't describe, and this guy would treat me the way who ostensibly comes around in the way like he's, you know, now this guy was really degrading his own son, and then gaslighting the psychiatrist, and anyway, but the point is that getting all that is that when I put it out, I realized I had to make a serious thing about it, and that these people were not going to help me with the feedback. But the point is that what they've told me at the trauma rehab is that, look, until I get an attorney, I'm in a holding pattern. I can't even go get any more help, like in terms of any kind of counseling or anything, until there's this boundary established, because it has to start. I haven't been safe in the past because whatever relations I have with another person, or particularly with a therapist of any kind, has to start by saying that even if I'm paying and everything, that look, there is an attorney between me and this individual, because the things that happened in the past, unless that's up front, I'll never feel safe, and all the therapy will be futile. And I'll never be safe to be open and describe this unless that's in place. And I can go over all the things that have happened that made that necessary, but the point is that I'm in a holding pattern in terms of having any relations with anybody or doing anything or certainly getting any more help until, that's why I had to get out of this psychiatry until I have an attorney, because this is not safe. And they told me in rehab, they got some messages in there that freaked them out. They said, you got an old man and his old wife or something. He's trying to project some kind of reality onto you that this is really distorted. And I'll go more into that and what this man's been capable of doing, and why exactly the old lady is. That's a good example of what happens when someone cannot leave the psychopath. What happens 20 years later? That if she didn't leave because she thought he'd kill her or kill himself. But then you see what happens when she tried to make him a better man, and you see what's happened is she lives in a fantasy land. And in that fantasy land, she thinks I'm a little boy, and she also thinks I should be having some kind of, I mean, she did, the one was gone. So, but I realized too that, wait a minute, until I commiserated with someone, that I had not attempted to commiserate with who I knew I had identification with, because I didn't want them to be uncomfortable, because they wouldn't have understood. But I knew who I was on this journey with. But once it came out and someone recognized me in that way, I said, no, wait a minute. The truth of the matter is, I've always known the one reason to survive is I'm not powerless in this at all. Number one, this freak thinks I'm his friend. I've done a very good job of getting myself safe. And no, I'm not in the same situation. I'm not the man's wife or anything like that. No, I can do this differently. It's just that I have got to get to the attorney and be able to present this to where I have someone that can understand what I'm doing and what my situation is. And that part of that is I gotta get these files. But the main thing is that until that has happened, I'm not gonna have any, I can't move forward with anything until there's an attorney. I'll never feel safe until it does, because this has gone on and it has all kinds of ins and outs, but there is a person who is willing to project a false reality, and it's gotten very dangerous. they're able to corrupt doctors, and they're also just able to make it appear that I'm having a breakdown. They're doing things, so anyway, but I'm gonna see if the other video posted.